Hello and welcome to English with SWS. Today we are going to look at specifically how to write a speech and also how to write a debate, which is part of your grammar portion as far as the CBSE Class 11 English syllabus is concerned. Now, this is essentially about knowing the format. Also, you get marked for how you write the content and how you express the content, right? So the word limit is also pretty strict. So you cannot really go over the word limit or go under the word limit, but pretty much you will actually struggle to fit into the number of words that is specified in your English paper. So first, let's look at how to write a speech. Now, let's first understand what exactly is a speech. भाषण जिसको बोलते हैं हिंदी में. Now, speech is a formal address delivered to an audience. Okay, तो आप जिस तरह से लिखेंगे, आपका style should reflect that. Okay, now, when I say formal address, it means that you cannot use Instagram or WhatsApp or informal kind of language. Okay, your language has to be, you have to, at that time when you're writing the speech, you have to believe that you are standing on a stage and delivering it to a group of 100, 150, 200 odd people at least. Okay, you need to believe that so that you get into the right frame of mind. Okay, ताकि आपको उस तरह की भाषा को लाने में भी मदद मिलेगी if you kind of believe that. Okay, that is something very important. Now, what exactly do you need in order to give, or in this case, write a good speech, right? First, of course, is the knowledge of the subject. Obviously, suddenly मैं आपको बोलूं कि वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट के ऊपर एक टेक्निकल स्पीच दो, क्या आप दे पाएंगे? नहीं दे पाएंगे, आपको रिसर्च करना पड़ेगा, है ना? So the subject knowledge is very important. Whereas if I asked you to give a speech about the quality of your playground at your school, you may be able to even go extempore. You may be able to come up with 2-3 intelligent points on the spur of the moment, right? So the subject knowledge is extremely vital. Okay, next comes the vocabulary. Now here, make sure that at no stage anyone is expecting you to use flowery, big Shashi Tharoor kind of language. No one is expecting you to do that. You should ideally speak. Two things ka dhyan rakhiyega. Your language has to be simple. It has to be smart. That's something very important. You cannot, of course, I mean, in writing, you will not do that. But just generally, I'm telling you, when you're doing writing, delivering a speech, you will not use words like, I know, it is like that, I know, which you generally use in informal way of speaking, right? So which is what I said right at the beginning. It's a formal address. So subject knowledge linked to research and the vocabulary, very important. And of course, excellent oratory skills are what is important when it comes to giving a speech, right? The way you modulate, the way your body language is, the way your shoulder moves, right? The way your hands move, whether you're able to establish eye contact with the audience, all these things make a difference. So if you are into delivering speeches or taking part in debates, you should take care about these 4 or 5 different elements. The word length specified is 120 to 150 words by the CBSE. So, okay, so that is your Lakshman Rekha, not less than 120, not more than 150. So, us baat ka dhyan rakhiyega. Okay. Third part, let's come to why do you the mark scheme format के लिए आपको 1 नंबर मिलता है, content के लिए 2 marks और expression के लिए 2 mark, पूरे 5 marks का है. Now, why do you make a speech in the first place, right? ये भी तो समझना चाहिए ना. 1, to convey information in an oral manner, कि आप orally information को convey करते हैं. Number 2, to convert the listeners. You are expressing a point of view, and your motive rather, is to convert the audience to your point of view. That at the end of your speech, they say, बंदे ने जो बोला है बात में दम है. Okay, what this person has said, this boy or girl has said, it is making sense to me. So you convert the audience to your point of view, okay, to thinking like you, to believe what you said is right. Okay, that's important. to pass on information to the audience. You're giving very important information and you're giving it to a group of 100, 200 odd people in one go. To express an opinion that this is my opinion, and you do that by giving a speech. So these are some of the reasons why you give a speech in the first place. Now let's come to the brass tacks, the exact format of a speech as specified by the CBSE. The first and foremost is the salutation when you're greeting, because generally when you're giving a speech, that particular event will have someone who's chairing it, a chief guest, etc. So you always need to greet the chief guest, you need to greet other members of the audience, you need to greet your fellow speakers and the audience. Okay, then you introduce yourself and you introduce the topic. Okay, next you need to put out the key sentence that carries the central topic of the speech, the central theme of the speech. Okay, जो आपको क्वेश्चन में दिया हुआ है. Okay, वो key sentence लिखना जरूरी है. These are all part of that 1 mark. वो 1 mark के लिए भी लड़ना पड़ता है. Next, you need to express your views on that particular topic, right? Then you come to comparing and contrasting views, in the sense that you can always, in a speech, you can always say, many people believe that this is the case, but I believe that's not the way it should be. You bring up a contrasting view in the sense that you bring out the fact that you're aware of what is the opposite position. Samjhe? You are aware of what is the opposite position, and being aware of that, you are conveying your point of view. Okay, understood? That's again very important. So you argue the strength of your own opinion, right? कि मेरे opinion में दम है, इसीलिए मैं इस बात पर अड़ा हुआ हूं कि जो मैं कह रहा हूं वो ठीक है. इसमें I mean, I have conviction in this kind of an argument, right? Vis-a-vis the other point of view. Then you sum up and conclude and thank everyone at the end. Thank you is very important. Okay, you need to be observing the right kind of manners on stage, right? So that is something very important. In case in your speech, if you are talking about, let's say, a problem, it would make sense. I know there are not too many words to play around with, but just keep that in mind. You should also mention what is being done to improve the situation, or even offer some kind of a solution, right? So you could do that. Now, let's also look at some of the important points that you need to bear in mind so that galti nahi ho. Ye 5 mark aapko pocket mein milne chahiye. What do you need to do? A catchy introduction. Your introduction has to be smart. अगर lazy आलसी सा introduction देखेंगे तो कौन तो सुनेगा आपकी speech को? मजाक उड़ाएंगे, पीछे से memes बनाएंगे आपके ऊपर. So your introduction has to grab the attention of your audience. That's very important, right? You can do that via giving a quote, but the quotation has to be relevant. ये नहीं हो कि किसी चीज के बारे में quotation हो. अगर आपका speech is about cricket and you are giving a quotation about the environment, right? I mean, there has to be some relevance, some connect of the quote to the topic that you are speaking on, right? You could give some statistical data, you could relate some anecdote, right? Or you could raise a question. Do you think this is the way it should be done out here in India? You can ask a question and you can grab the attention of your audience. Samjhe? You could do that. So the catchy introduction is extremely important. Then the other thing which is very important to bear in mind while you are writing that speech is to have clarity of thought. You need to be very clear about what your position is and what you need to say in that speech. Right? So your thought has to be very clear. And if you're putting out any data, please make sure that you're not making up that data. That data has to be accurate. If you're quoting from some study, please mention from where you are quoting it from. Right? According to the Environment Ministry, according to the Forest Ministry, India has lost 2.6% of forest cover. That is called, you're crediting, you're telling the audience. So the audience will think, oh, he has taken it from the Ministry of Environment and Forest. So, bande mein dam hai, he's quoting accurate data. So it will give credibility to what you are speaking. Understood? Now, That's what I said, must have credibility through accuracy of facts. You can infuse humor if the topic allows you to kind of be a little funny, be a little, on the humorous side. Please do that, because that also adds a different kind of interesting element, an X factor of sorts to your speech, right? Suggest measures, what I just now told you, that if the topic is such that you can suggest measures in order to improve a particular situation, you could suggest measures. Your language has to be extremely forceful and persuasive. It has to have dum in it. Even when you're writing it, the examiner should get the feeling that it's like this person is speaking. I like the flow of words. I like the way the thoughts have been conveyed, right? Through the right kind of smart vocabulary. Stick to the word limit, very important. No complex vocabulary, as I said. Quotes, if they are relevant. Underline the main points. You could do that. Whatever is the main point, don't over underline it also, but underline the main points which you want the examiner to notice. And ideally speaking, 3 paragraphs. There are some students who do that, write it in one big paragraph. So it hits the examiner like a mass of words and makes it difficult, especially if your handwriting is not great, right? It's not very tidy. So ideally, do it in 3 paragraphs and a closing line, right? That would be the ideal way to write this speech. Okay, so that's as far as the speech writing is concerned. In the notes PDF, I have also written what I think is a specimen speech. It's about outdoor games are necessary for holistic growth. Please go through it. It will give you an idea about how to structure a speech. Okay, now let's move forward and look at how to write a debate. The debate. Now, there is a difference between a speech and a debate. Speech is when you're just delivering a speech. Debate is you are debating with someone. That person has a viewpoint which is 180 degrees different from your viewpoint. So this is a debate. ये तर्क वितर्क है. That is a भाषण. So आपको इन दोनों के बीच में अंतर समझना होगा. तो इसमें थोड़ा सा फर्क है in your style of writing, which you should be mindful of. I will focus on that. Now, let's first understand what's a debate. A formal debate, it's a formal discourse on a topic, pretty much similar. It involves a moderator and an audience, because someone will moderate in the sense that he will say, okay, you have 2 minutes, you make your point. You have 2 minutes, you make a point. Now you make a counterpoint to what this person has said, right? Or the moderator could ask a question. Debating skills are great fun. Okay, I've done a lot of debating and delivering speeches in my school life and college life and later on in professional life. It kind of, allows you to connect, and it's great to have a captive audience, and it's great to have each one of them holding on to every word that you are speaking. It's a great power to have. Opposing viewpoints, right? The arguments are put forth with opposing viewpoints, and you convey information in a forceful manner, and you convert the audience pretty much like the speech, but much more forcefully in the case of a debate, because here you have someone who is giving the audience completely 180 degree different viewpoints. So it's quite possible if that person is able to speak better, the audience may believe what he or she is saying and not believe you. Would you want that? You obviously wouldn't want that, right? So you convert the audience to your viewpoint. That's very important. And for that, there has to be conviction in the points that you put forth, the opinion that you are expressing, right? Now, how do you plan for a debate? First and foremost, you need to decide when the topic is given to you, whether you want to be for a particular topic, in the sense that whether your stand is in favor of what that question is, or whether you completely disagree with what the question is saying. So you need to know that, decide that, and accordingly frame your points. Okay, then you give reasons why you agree or why you disagree with that particular topic, right? Now, the things to keep in mind in a debate is that you can react. Okay, you react by either agreeing or disagreeing with the topic, right? Now, in agreeing, if you're agreeing, you use words like, phrases like, I agree. Yes, that's right. That's true. Because this is, even though it's a formal address, it's also a little conversational with respect to the other speaker, right? Yes, that's right. As my esteemed uh, panelist or esteemed speaker has said before me, you make a reference to what the other person has said before. Okay. If you disagree, you say, sorry, I don't agree. The politeness is important. That's not right. I don't think you can say. So there is an element of conversation also in this. Okay. Now, the second one is expressing. How do you express? When you express, you say, in my opinion, I feel that. In my opinion, I think that. So you kind of assert your opinion. Okay. Then, when you're trying to bridge a gap, okay, when you move from opinion to giving reasons, and you say, let me explain my point, because you're trying to convince that person that what he's saying is not right and what you are saying actually makes more sense. So you try to convince that other person by saying, okay, let me explain my point further, right? And you give reasons. How do you give reasons? Through facts or examples. And you say, we must remember, never forget. These are phrases which you can use or should use in your debate. Finally, first, second kind of thing. And then you say sum up. That's why, to conclude, I sum up with, or I would say, with that, I rest my case. These are all phrases. I put it in the notes, which you can use, which you should use, in fact, in your debate. Now, what is the format of a debate, right? You get that 1 mark. The opening statement, very important. Then you say, respected chairperson, members of the jury, because there will be a jury to give you marks, right? So you need to address them as well. Teachers and my dear friends. Then you say, I strongly support or oppose, depending on what stand you're taking, or reject the motion, right? Then you give 2 reasons why you support or oppose it. And then first reason, second reason, and then you can also point out what the other person has said and say, my worthy opponent has just pointed out, or my worthy opponent has just expressed this fear that something like this will happen, but I don't think that's likely to be the case, right? However, I feel, and you also connect with the audience. Very important to get the audience onto your side, to get the audience to back you. And you say, friends, don't you agree? What I'm saying makes sense, right? So you get the audience onto your side, right? And then you say, summing up, I wish to strongly support this particular topic or reject the motion, again, depending on what stand you're taking, and thank you at the end. Okay, so that's the way it ends. Now, there are these phrases which need to be used. I support the motion wholeheartedly. I strongly oppose the motion. I put the entire list out there. Okay, so which you should bear in mind, and you can use them in your debate. I have put a specimen debate, and the topic is, it's cruel to put stray dogs to sleep. Write a debate in 120 to 150 words, either for or against the motion. Now, let me just read it out. Okay, just read it out so that you understand. You first write the topic. It's cruel to put stray dogs to sleep. Respected chairperson, members of the jury, teachers, and my dear friends. Today, I, T.S. Sudhir of class, let's say 11th A, want to support the motion that it is cruel to put stray dogs to sleep. What's the fault of the stray dog? So you're raising the question. You're trying to get the audience thinking as well. Is it that it does not have a roof over its head and a family to call its own? Who gives the right to man to deny life to the homeless? So you're raising 3 important questions straight away and trying to get the audience onto your side. The point that I said you need to do. I'm surprised at my worthy opponent's vociferous opposition to the motion. He argues that stray dogs are a risk to humans. On the contrary, I feel that a stray dog who is fed by local residents stays extremely loving and loyal and behaves like a security guard for life. In conclusion, I would like to state that a society without respect for life is uncivilized. Cruelty to animals is a sign of depravity. I hope that my opponent will reconsider his stand on the motion. Thank you. Right? So that's all. This is exactly 150 odd words. That's all you need. That's all the space, unfortunately, that you have. So you have made 2 points about the stray dogs, the second paragraph. In the first paragraph, you have raised this question, and the third paragraph, again, you have brought in the second point where you say that, you know, a society which does not respect another life is actually uncivilized. So, and you're also making an appeal to the opponent to reconsider his stand. You're also trying to get the audience onto your side. So you get all these elements in order to write a good debate. I hope this is clear. Thank you very much for watching. Any doubts, please ask. Tata, bye-bye.